when James Comey's lawyer said, quote, "We haven't received a single piece of paper of discovery to date," the junior federal prosecutor, Tyler Lemon, said, "We're just getting our hands around the discovery as well." What? How can you be standing there prosecuting James Comey and not know what your evidence is to prosecute James Comey? That's what the junior federal prosecutor told the judge today. We don't know what our prosecution evidence is. That's what he meant. The judge knew that. The judge's response to that was a judicial version of, "Are you kidding me?" The judge said, "All right, well, I will tell you, I'm a little skeptical of that. This does not appear to me to be an overly complicated case. There are 2 counts. It's a discrete set of facts." That's a polite way of saying this is the thinnest indictment that could possibly exist. And here it is, right here. It is 2 pieces of paper. And the only reason it's 2 pieces of paper is that on the first page, it accuses James Comey of making a false statement in a Senate hearing. And on the second page, it accuses him of obstruction of the Senate by making that same so-called false statement. So the one sentence James Comey spoke managed to get them 2 pages of an indictment. And James Comey said that on television in a Senate hearing. That's the entire case. That one sentence that he spoke on TV. And the junior federal prosecutor standing beside the silent Lindsay Halligan, rocking in her chair, tried to tell the judge that they are in possession of some massive amount of evidence, which includes, inexplicably, according to them, classified information. And there's so much of it that this junior federal prosecutor who's been on this case for exactly 1 day, along with the other junior prosecutor from North Carolina who's been on the case for 1 day, because no real prosecutor in that office in Virginia will take the case, are, quote, "just getting our hands around the discovery." The judge knows he's dealing with courtroom clowns. The judge knows that every federal prosecutor in the Eastern District of Virginia has refused to participate in this case. The judge knows all of the public information in this case. The judge knows that he's watching a legal Trump clown show in his courtroom. And although he dealt with it politely today, he also made it clear he has 0 patience for Trumpian nonsense. The judge told the Trump prosecutors in front of him, "I will not slow this case down because the government does not promptly turn everything over. And the government should have every interest in doing that. There should be no reason that this case gets off track because of the existence of some classified information. Either it's not relevant to the case, or it can be declassified, or we will go through the fastest CIPA process you have ever seen in your lives."
The 6th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. In all criminal prosecutions, the accused shall enjoy the right to a speedy and public trial by an impartial jury of the state and district wherein the crime shall have been committed, which district shall have been previously ascertained by law, and to be informed of the nature and cause of the accusation, to be confronted with the witnesses against him, to have a compulsory process for obtaining witnesses in his favor, and to have the assistance of counsel for his defense.
When James Comey goes in there and uses the 6th Amendment against what Trump's idiot attorneys are doing, and his idiot Justice Department is doing, which is basically not being ready, not having evidence, not sharing the evidence, because Comey has, under the 6th Amendment, the right not just to a speedy trial, but to know everything that he's facing. And if they're not turning over that information, that is a 6th Amendment violation. And what he will just do is say, is like, trial begins today, because they're not ready. They have not followed the constitutional rights of James Comey. And if they're doing this here, they're doing this in other places. The problem here isn't just that it's Comey that they're screwing up on. It's every other person facing the Department of Justice right now. All the other cases, because they fired highly experienced, highly talented prosecutors who would have been completely ready. What this is showing to every other criminal in the country who actually understands that they have these things called constitutional rights, and if this government is violating the Sixth Amendment in prosecution against James Comey, then they're violating the Sixth Amendment in other areas. Trump is creating an incredibly unsafe country that the only way that policing is going to probably be able to be done is with the United States military, because the Department of Justice is not ready to face very simple cases. It is violating the constitutional rights of people, and when you violate the constitutional rights of people in criminal cases, what you end up doing is you help criminals get away. Trump is destroying our country's ability to be safe. And I guess that's why he wants to use the military, because law enforcement will follow your constitutional rights and follow the constitutional rights of the accused, and not create a case where they're not ready to turn over documentation for you to face the evidence, for your counsel to face what the government is saying about you, to deliberately delay cases when you have a constitutional right to a speedy trial. Trump is destroying the safety of this country. He is not pro-law enforcement. He is completely anti-law enforcement, because he is literally violating the rights of individuals. And if they're violating these people's rights, what are they doing with actual criminals? Are they that ill prepared in actual criminal cases, where it's important to stay inside of the Constitution, otherwise the criminal goes free? This is why Trump is completely anti-rule of law, anti-safety. Because where safety really shows up is when it gets into that courtroom and you have to prosecute people. And if he is literally violating the Sixth Amendment rights of somebody so important to him as prosecuting James Comey, or maybe Letitia James, or what happens when it's really someone of real significance and they're this, and they screw up this badly? The DOJ needs to be restructured and put under new management. Thank you.